If you can stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we have roll call, Carrie.
Sure. Councilmember Ellenboss?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Ingalls?
Here.
French?
Here.
Mayor Powell?
Here. We will go to the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. Regular agenda.
Oh, the
Regular agenda.
Approval of agenda.
right. I'm sorry. Approve the agenda as presented. Get another second on that.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Sorry, I did not catch that.
Councilmember Hopkins?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. And we will move on to public comment. The public comment is an opportunity for residents to share statements on any topic. This portion of the meeting is not intended for questions or discussion. Council and staff can be contacted at the Cadillac-Michigan MI website. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and unused time may not be shared.
Good evening, Michelle Carter, 311 East Harris Street. And I have provided council with a letter and also several follow-up emails talking about the zoning and master plan issue. And I would just encourage council to get that independent legal opinion that both Steve King and I have recommended. It just maintains the integrity of the process. And quite simply, there's nothing wrong with getting an opinion given the controversy and the seriousness of the zoning rewrite. And I also briefly wanted to address the resolution that the Historic District Commission adopted to expand the historic district, the Courthouse Hill Historic District. And I noticed that there were recommendations to either discuss it, appoint the committee, or to ask the Historic District Commission for more clarification. And with due respect, the purpose of the study committee is to define what the vision is going to be for the expanded district. But I will say what we briefly talked about is the fact that there was a study committee back in 2002 that already had the parameters of the enlarged district carved out, and it was 184 properties that would be contributing structures and 54 or 56 non-contributing structures. So it's roughly 2.75 times the size of the current historic district. So I would just encourage the council to move forward with the appointment of that committee. If council wants to ask maybe Abigail Pluger to work with the HDC to come up with some recommendations, we're certainly happy to do that. I think over half the members of the committee need to demonstrate an interest in historic preservation. I don't think it's difficult to find those people for the committee. Appreciate the council's time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Good morning, or good afternoon, everyone. So my name's Carla Moore, and I live in Cadillac. I have a couple things. I wanted to ask if there is a way going forward that all the meetings could be televised on the CCTV or recorded and then posted on the CCTV, because we just had a meeting today. I know it's a public meeting. There were people that were not here. I couldn't be here. I think the public would like to know the information that is, in those. That also applies to all the zoning meetings that have been recently held at the water building. There is no hookups over there for recording. There's no way. And so I think that that's kind of like leaving out a lot of people. I wanted to kind of recap a few things. I didn't go to all those meetings myself, but I did notice at the last one there were supposed to be 10 people on the board. 3 people were completely absent, 1 was late, and 2 left early. So they're not even participating, and they're supposed to be the ones giving all the input and representation of the citizens. So I think it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to say completely false, but probably a waste of time. So I don't know why there wouldn't be more people representing the citizens that were actually there. So homelessness has been used as a way to create urgency, which is also false because we have about 1,000 people that are homeless and unhoused in Cadillac, in the county, excuse me. And we have like 900 units coming with the lofts and with things that are already in place. So don't let that be a reason to have urgency to make a decision that you're not well aware of all the facts. None of the housing is Section 8, and it's not subsidized, so it will not help a lot of the homeless people either. You know, they're mid-range income and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to point out those things. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla.
Hello, my name is Fernando Castillo. I am a social work student at NMC. I live in Cadillac, out in Boone region. I just wanted to bring to your attention the lack of resources they have for people who are suffering from addiction. I have been observing many of the practices that Michigan Harm Reduction has been implementing. And I've learned in class a lot of these times the cycle of addiction is a pretty pervasive one. And I've noticed that a lot of the resources that we have now aren't up to par, and they're getting caught in the cycle of use, imprisonment, reintroduction, and then reuse again. I was hoping to bring to your attention some of these issues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Fernando.
Sorry.
Seeing no one else, we can close public comment. And we will move on to PFAS update.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. I do believe I sound like a broken record, but the update this month is very similar, or excuse me, this meeting is very similar to what you heard a couple of weeks ago, and that is how we are still awaiting to hear back from both our federal partners and state partners regarding the access to the grant. The one update I do have is that I will be meeting with some leadership in Lansing next week. And so hopefully I'll be able to, in person, be able to convey, the urgency that we would like to be able to get this project going. And a different topic, but similar update I'll just throw out at this point as well. Hopefully we'll be able to also convey the importance of getting the grant information also in place so we can do the culvert repairs off of Mitchell and River Street. So there's been a deterioration of that property over the last week, and we need to get moving on that as well, but we're still in a holding pattern, So, Jeff, did you have any update?
Yeah, 2 quick ones. Just to let the council know, we recently received our test results for our PFAS levels in our exceptional quality biosolids, our EQ Class A biosolids. They were non-detect for PFAS in that. And then the LDFA groundwater treatment plant, as the council was aware, we had rerouted 2 of the wells to go through the carbon filters. That went live on April 1st. And so we are now taking wells S1 and S2 and also I5 and going through the carbon filter, which should remove PFAS from that water. I5 and S2 does have some of the higher levels out in that area. So we are now treating that. We haven't, on the 16th, we're going to take test results, tests to see what the influent and the effluent of that is once the system has stabilized, and it should reduce it even more from that facility. So,
Awesome. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Councilmember Ingalls,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Communications, Carrie?
Yes, we have looks like a request from the Sons of the Ambets requesting alcoholic beverages at their cornhole tournament on April 25th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
This is in the city park? Does it say?
Or in a parking lot?
In the parking lot
Their parking lot
at
adjacent
120
to,
West Cass Street
Yeah.
at the Market at Commons.
Between the ambets and the market, in that parking lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problems. I'd make a motion to approve the alcohol beverage request for Sons of AmVets Cornhole Tournament on April 25th, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
support,
Councilmember French,
yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Next, we have a application to be on the Board of Review for Third Ward. Catherine Davis is requesting to be on that board, and her term would be, would end on 4/6/2028.
Yeah. I think it's she's a good person. She's involved in real estate. We just got done with board review not too long ago, and we recruited her while we were doing our board review meeting. So I will make a motion to appoint Catherine Davis to the board of review for a 2-year term to expire on April 6th, 2028.
Support,
Councilmember Ellenboss?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
French?
yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes.
Mayor, members of the council, and Carrie, I'm going to just jump in on this next one if that's okay. This next one is what I would define as a special appointment. We do not do this very often. We are looking at appointing our next city clerk, and the recommendation before you is to put that appointment onto Mr. Diego Navarro. We went through a robust process and had a half a dozen really good candidates, solid candidates that we interviewed for the position, with Diego ultimately coming out on top. Mr. Navarro is currently in the position of a treasurer with another local unit of government. He does have a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science and is in the process of completing his Master's of Public Administrations, or his MPA degree. We believe that his professional experience and the quality and relevance of his education will make him a wonderful asset to our community and to our organization. We do have in our public council meeting packet a copy of his job application, cover letter, resume, and the various letters of reference. And again, this was a very difficult choice because the quality of the candidates that we had were all top notch. Frankly, a couple of the candidates were internal candidates that, I know also would be solid, but we believe that Mr. Navarro would be the best fit for our organization in this role at this time. And that would be the recommendation to City Council this evening, which would be to appoint him to that position. Mr. Navarro is here this evening along with his family. And I would invite you to please come up to the podium and just introduce yourself so everybody knows.
Hi, esteemed council members. I don't know what else to say after that introduction from Marcus. I'll kind of take it all away, but I will just say that whatever you guys' decision is, I am very excited to be here. Every time I've come down to Cadillac, I've always just, even with this weather today, it's always just a warm feeling coming down here. So appreciate this opportunity, and yeah, that's all I have for you guys today.
Well, I always like promoting from within, and I think it should be done whenever possible. There's very little upward mobility over there, and when something comes open, I think we should try hard to promote from within if the candidates are equal. I'm sure Diego will do a wonderful job having said that, but I think we should have gone from somebody in the city. That's it.
Actually, I have a question for Diego, if you don't mind. Because you don't live within the 20-mile radius, have you been house shopping?
I was hoping to speak with someone in real estate about that, but today, literally, we did get pre-approved, and we had a credit union, and
Okay.
so that I'm hopeful. I don't want to pull the trigger until you guys
Well,
pull the
that's
trigger.
true.
but-
That's true. There is that.
Smart guy.
This vote, I suppose,
Yeah.
would be critical. I just wondered if you were been looking around. Great. Thanks, Diego.
I'll say it was a tough decision when we interviewed everybody. We sat there for a couple hours afterwards and discussed a lot. Ultimately, we came down to choosing Diego. It was a tough decision.
It was challenging. I was also on the interview committee, and but we arrived at the conclusion that we have, and so we're looking forward to bringing some fresh, new eyes into our organization, and yeah, hopefully that will all work out.
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Do I need to do that? Yes, I will make that motion. To approve the appointment of Diego Navarro to our city clerk position.
Support.
Councilmember Hopkins,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
No.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Congratulations.
You made it.
You made it. Okay. Mr. Mayor, if I may move on into the city manager's report this evening, we do have a handful of items. The first item this evening is the annual update from the Alliance for Economic Success, or AES. We do have the executive director of that agency, Nikki Schultz, here. And we do have, I believe, in the packets, the annual report. So, Nikki, if you wouldn't mind.
I'm actually going to hand out a couple of
Okay.
other things as
Perfect.
well.
Do you have an
Yeah,
extra
you
copy
could-
for me too, by any chance? If not,
yes,
Thank you.
Well, you should have all of these
okay.
things.
All right. Thank you.
He just wants the clip.
Hold on. Oh, steal that from my name. Hold on. Marcus.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Nikki, I'm going to pause you. I didn't realize, I thought we may have been doing this at another point in time, but we're actually going to pause and do the swearing in now that council took the appointment.
Okay.
Approve the appointment of Mr. Navarro, if that's okay. So, sorry. Next time, just yell at me in the mic. So. Yeah, right, everybody else does, yeah.
Sandy would have yelled at him.
Oh, yeah, she would have thrown something at me. Yeah.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the Charter and ordinances of the City of Cadillac, and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of the city clerk according to the best of my ability.
I do.
Thank you.
You're gonna finish off the meeting, right?
I'm done. I'm done.
Thank you.
Now.
Okay, Nikki, you're up. Sorry.
Thanks guys for a moment of your time. I know that in your packet you did get the copy of the annual report for AES for 2025. As most of you know, I've been in this role for about 2.5 years now. It is a joint role with MSU Extension and the Alliance for Economic Success. So I serve Wexford and Missaukee counties. I am board driven on the AES side, and then I am just a one-person staff on AES. So I don't do anything alone. I do everything in collaboration with many, many organizations. The city being a very good partner of mine. I get to do a lot of work with Marcus and Teresa, Danielle, and Abigail, and I'm really appreciative of the partnership that we have. So a couple of the things that I have in front of you today is a resource guide that I have worked with the DDA on creating that. It's a small business resource guide for business for, people coming into town looking to create businesses. So that guide has been a collaboration. Also, you have a newsletter that I send out to my investors each month that give you a little bit of a snapshot of what I've been doing. So in February, I was able to organize our Mock It Then Rock It, which was our career interview day for area high school students that was held at Baker College. We had about 400 high school students come. That took 70 volunteers that morning, which was phenomenal. So 70 volunteers came out to help interview and resume review for our students. So that's one of our success stories that I love to share. Also, our Career and Commerce Expo was held just in March, and that was on a snow day. So we did not have any of the 600 students that we were supposed to have that day, which was a huge bummer. However, we did have about 135 community members come out in a snowstorm to support that, which really showed the intention of those job seekers. We were able to provide a lot of the businesses with exposure to one another to kind of see what is happening in Cadillac. We also did adopt one cat out during that event, which was a highlight. So I'm just really excited to continue to do the work, to continue to partner with the city in all of the things that I get to do, and ask if you have any questions of me.
Great job.
I went to that
Very
to
good.
the
Expo?
Civic Center,
Yeah.
Expo, and it
For a
was
snow day,
for
I
a
mean,
snow
I will
day,
say it was pretty phenomenal still.
Yeah.
So we did really, really miss our students being there, but what can you do?
Hopefully
Next
we can
year.
do that again.
Next year.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a great event.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah. So
So,
It's good collaboration.
yes. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Nikki.
thank you. The next item under the manager's report this evening is to schedule a public hearing for April 20th for the consideration of the fiscal year 2027 through 2031 capital improvement program. As council may or may not recall, when we had a work session discussing this program, we had mentioned about how we do have a public hearing to talk about it, even though it is not legally required. And this is the typical time frame in which we would have that hearing occur.
I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing for April 20th, 2026 to consider approval of the fiscal year 2027-2031 capital improvement program.
Second.
Support?
Councilmember Ingalls?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is a request to schedule the public hearing for April 20th, 2026 to discuss the fiscal year 2027 operating budget. This one is required to be done via public hearing and per our charter to occur within this time frame.
I would make a motion to schedule a public hearing for April 20th, 2026 to discuss the 26-27 annual operating budget.
Support.
Councilmember French?
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda are updates regarding the master plan and zoning code processes. The order that I have them, and there's really no there's no magic to it, but it was zoning code first. And so using the communication in the council packet for reference, I'm going to refer to it. The city of Cadillac is, I think everybody on council knows, is reviewing its zoning ordinance and looking at amendments to make sure that it remains responsive, to the various conditions current and what we think might be in the future for our growing community. We initiated this process in 2022 following the review and update process for the master plan that was completed in 2021. And I think, with that, time window or time gap in there, a lot of folks forget that we first did the master plan update and then we initiated the zoning plan or the zoning ordinance update thereafter. The city has engaged progressive companies working with their senior planner, Jason Ball, to help us provide recommendations on zoning ordinance amendments. And all of these recommendations are just that. The recommendations, they're in their conceptual phase. Nothing yet has been drafted in a way where we have set public hearings, and we've been soliciting public input over years, not just over the last few months with Progressive, but we had a series of public meetings at our new wellfield off of 44 Road talking about short-term rentals as a prime example. And so, we have gathered feedback through a couple of different community surveys, one focusing on housing, one focusing on more general zoning concepts. We've had a couple of public education sessions that we've branded Zoom In on Zoning, where residents could learn about zoning concepts and ask questions. And prior to working with progressive companies, as I mentioned, we've facilitated a series of public forums focusing on the short-term rental issue and more general zoning topics that try to solicit feedback. This has also been something that has been in front of the Planning Commission and the City Council over the last several years, several times for public conversation that it's been discussed. There is an advisory committee made up of residents, people representing community agencies such as our Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau and other community stakeholders. That committee serves as a sounding board and helps to share information about surveys and meetings, but it does not make any decisions. Survey results, presentation materials, and meeting information is all available publicly and has been shared publicly so that residents can follow the process and offer input. There's also, while there's this advisory committee, there has also been, again, the Zoom In on Zoning public meetings that would take place in the late afternoon, like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, where it's designed more for public feedback and public input. Looking at the master plan and the 5-year review, our master plan, for those that may not know, serves as a long-range planning guide. State law directs the Planning Commission to review it every 5 years and to decide whether an update should be made. This 5-year review serves as essentially a checkpoint and encourages communities to step back and consider long-range goals and, are they still on track? Should they be changed or reconsidered? New ones added? While it's completely different in my mind, I look at it similarly to our 6-year capital improvement program, where, every year we bring forward a 6-year capital improvement budget, and there are some tweaks to where some of those items are based on available funding, based upon what the current dialogue is within the community. Are we looking at trying to redo the public docks? And if so, where should that fit in within the CIP? As a, for instance, similar to your master plan, how do we want to look at land uses within the geography of the city? And, are we still all on the same page, or do we need to look at tweaking something? Because now, instead of having, your industrial, area on the west end of town, you want it on the east end of town. An absurd example, but I did that on purpose. And so the current master plan was adopted in 2015. In 2021, the Planning Commission did confirm the plan and discuss the possibility of future updates under state law, the Planning Commission has the authority to review the master plan and decide whether to begin an update. Any such review would be reflected in Planning Commission minutes. And again, in 2021, essentially the Planning Commission checked the box that the plan was still good to go. So, where are we now? Well, in 2022, we started the zoning code update. We faced, frankly, a global pandemic and other things that caused delays, and we are still trying to finish off the update to the zoning code. Well, we're now 5 years after the 2021 update to the master plan was essentially checked by the Planning Commission. And, I can't sit here tonight and tell you that it would not be appropriate to reinitiate that process with the master plan, with the master plan, with the Planning Commission. Too many plan words in one sentence, and I apologize for that. But that is something that can happen concurrently along with your zoning code getting finished off, essentially, which, is a long time coming and something that ideally we would be finished with this calendar year. We did receive information from the Historic Districts Commission. We do have the Courthouse Hill Historic Commission, the Courthouse Hill District. There is also a special district that just encompasses the Cobbs and Mitchell building. And so that's why that's pluralized. I just wanted to clarify for everybody that's not a typo. And so at a special meeting that the Historic Districts Commission held on March 30th, they did approve a resolution expressing their view that the Planning Commission should review the master plan before zoning ordinance amendments move forward. And I have, for reference purposes, included a copy of that in your packet. The broader policy question is maybe one, if you wanted to take up, about should we continue down the path that we're on or look at doing something different. But I don't believe necessarily that any action is actually required from council tonight unless you wanted to change something up. So, sorry, I had a notification that went off and it blocked my train of thought and it blocked what I was trying to read. So, with that, that's my update.
Okay.
What are you grinning about?
Did you guys get a chance to read some of the letter that Michelle had written?
Yes.
And it's the cart before the horse type argument about whether you want to see how the colors are going to change versus how the definitions are going to change is a funny one if we're anticipating possible significant changes. I don't really think there's a right answer. I do think the Planning Commission is going to do the master plan review this year because this is the 5-year mark, and that's on the schedule for them to do this year. Mm-hmm. They're in the middle of the zoning amendment update process. Now, we use the words amendment, and I've heard you guys say rewrite. Mm-hmm. So, in the context of amendments, I'm assuming you're going to have 3 or 4 packages or maybe one giant amendment that I'll highlight. Or when I hear rewrite, I think everything's going to change, the titles are going to change, everything's going to change. Is this going to look like an amendment package of zoning updates, or is this going to look like a rewrite? Or we don't know yet because we're too early in the process. Can Teresa answer that, or can?
Yep. I would say that it's too premature to decide which one of those yet.
Yes.
That's why we need to start to revisit and look at what are some of our things that we do want to change or start talking about. And that's why we've been having the advisory committee meetings.
Yeah. And I mean, if we weren't doing any zoning updates, and we were just looking at the master plan, you'd look at this. There are a couple areas, especially where the new jail was built, where the homeless shelter is, that's currently zoned R1. You're not going to have an R1 with a jail next to it. I don't remember, some of the stuff that John Wallace was initially talking about, maybe more towards Cadillac West.
In future land use map is a big area that we need to cover too with
Okay.
that in the master plan, yes.
Yep.
Like the Cadillac Junction, you know,
Junction part,
Terry
yeah.
D, or, yeah.
Terry D,
That
yeah.
would be something where we would want to make sure that it reflects the legal settlement that's in place.
And that's really viewed like as new work too, because you know when you come out with the Terry D property, you're not going to have neighborhoods and businesses. You know, there's a little business there, but I think that's that's much easier to deal with than the part of our city that's zoned and inhabited.
Well, my understanding of the zoning, whatever we're calling it, rewrite or amendments, is that that process, as Marcus stated, was started in 2020. Well, but there was work done in 2023 where they came up with a new set of verbiage, letters, numbers, and so the amendment work that the consultant is doing now is based on those changes that were made in 2023. So it's not, so to me, it seems like it's more of a rewrite than just a few amendment changes. Because
the planning commission could decide that they reject those new definitions and setbacks, that they want to make minimal changes possible to be compliant and up to date, but not necessarily buy into any of the newer ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So if they decided that way, we would end up with a smaller package of amendments as opposed to a rewrite. And I don't I do watch those meetings, but I really don't know the direction that John's going to take that after the last meeting or based on what he heard from Jason.
And the other thing, Councilmember, to add is a lot of what, as you know, being on the committee, a lot of what we've been focusing on, I'm also on the committee, has been really focused on how to make the code more relevant to working with housing type developments within your different areas, within your different districts, versus looking at rewriting your section of code dealing with industry.
Yeah, and that's important too, because when you talk about the Terry D work that needs to be done and some of the development work that needs to be done, and the fact that 5 years ago we initially stopped because of COVID, then we stopped because of short-term rentals, then we stopped because of change in personnel. That series of events, we need there shouldn't be another reason, to stop this process.
right.
That doesn't mean that the amendment, package needs to be passed before people have an idea of what the master plan needs to be. I do think that, it needs to be concurrent work.
Mm-hmm.
If the date was March 1st, or March 12th or 15th, 2020. Yeah, so, we're approaching the point where we're past the 5-year mark. We're right at the 5-year mark of when they made that resolution. And they wouldn't make that resolution again today because there are identifiable areas in the city where you will have to change that. So I don't really have a strong opinion on this other than to say we've got to keep going. We've got to do them both. And nothing should be passed. I guess if I had it my way, you'd continue to generate the amendments and not pass them. You'd also work on the color changing, and it would kind of come together as a package because of the nature of the process. Yeah, and yeah, and that's up to how John and the rest of the planning commission guides this process.
Right.
Have they said that they intend to start the review work on the master plan yet because the 5-year window is up or
No,
here?
They've not really indicated that. There's just a little bit of discussion. But again, I'm here just to support them, whatever they want to do, and we'll go forward.
Yeah.
I would agree that I see them operating, meaning the master plan update and the zoning work being done concurrently. That it seems like we're in the 5-year window. Why not get things started? I realize Planning Commission has their own agenda and calendars and all of that, and it's really up to them. But it seems to me that it's they might as well start that process and work and kind of work across both aspects of what needs to be done for updates.
And the scary part that's happening in the neighborhoods is it's a moving target for people who are trying to focus on what might the changes be when the boundaries are changing, the definitions are changing, and people are trying to wrap their head around it. I do think, it's important to understand, again, I think Michelle said at one point that maybe it was confusing that we came out against the state of Michigan package at the same time that we were looking at the same ideas that we came out against. But the point there was we don't want those ideas to be forced on us. Those are interesting ideas. If you're at the cutting edge of planning and zoning, that's what you're hearing about. But like I said before, I know we won't accept all of those. So I don't think that's speaking out both sides of our mouth. We are hearing about the same thing the state's hearing about. The housing crisis is not the homeless crisis. The housing crisis is middle-class families not being able to find homes to live in because the cost of building them is too high.
Right.
So,
Yes. Does anybody else have anything on that subject before we go to the ordinance that was suggested in this same section?
Nope.
Well, and what type of guidance? I mean, you're talking about guidance and a vote and a discussion. This is up to the planning commission. This is the planning commission's
Right.
job.
Not even ours, other than Michelle's resolution that she submitted.
Yeah. Which is, the Historic District Commission is appointed by us, and that is a resolution by a board that we appointed to, they're in control of their district, and they're advising us.
My opinion is, and it's just that, my opinion, that perhaps that should become part of the master plan process to kind of postpone any kind of appointment of a committee or anything to look at that.
Well,
If
so
I
that
can-
that
if I
would be
can-
two separate things, yeah.
Two separate.
We're gonna have that on later on the open agenda here tonight.
Oh.
Your public agenda here, I believe.
Oh, I thought, well, you mentioned it.
Yep.
in
There
your
Sorry.
were,
lead-up.
yeah, there were two resolutions
Yeah.
approved by the Historic Districts Commission.
Yeah.
One that was talked about in this item,
Oh.
with their thoughts
All
on
right.
the master plan. No, that's
you're
okay.
okay.
And then the second
You
one about the
confused me
study
when you
committee.
talked about it.
We'll
Well,
blame
let me-
Marcus.
That's all right,
All right,
sorry.
then,
Well, can I conflate the discussion, or do I have to? Because I do think, I'm going to say this anyway. So I think, the historic district, when they're in the middle of this, they're looking at expanding. So if they'll say you're looking at changing R3, the whole historic district is R3. Is that going to be significant changes for us? So our response to them is you can create an overlay where you protect the historic district. So then their response is, well, several years ago we were supposed to expand the historic district. I wish we could protect more from these zoning changes. So this is a very timely thing, because if you don't make the board doesn't form right now and decide to expand the historic district, the argument, which you can't at this point argue against, because again, it's a moving target, but the argument is that this stuff will change and there'll be no point in expanding the historic district because it'll turn into whatever duplexes or develop differently. So they are trying to get in and see if it should be expanded before these changes come, because that overlay would be directly tied to the boundaries of their district. So that's, I think, like when you're saying wait, they're here because they don't want to wait, because
But
they
we're-
waited too long.
but we're.
In the middle of it,
talking
yeah.
about something that's.
But that would be an overlay. So you'd still have these R3 changes if the whole historic district was R3 and you voted for all these R3 changes. But within the R3 neighborhood that was a historic district, you'd have additional protections. And the protections don't go any further than the boundary. And I think that's, this is, I think, a timely point to ask that question, is what I would say.
And about
As opposed to
5 minutes
interference in the process.
Yeah.
By 5 minutes. But it is tied to this, not just a standalone thing, and to say that, it's squeezed in here to muddle the process. They want to get their spot, because if the overlay idea does happen, then the boundaries will matter. So there's no decision, just a discussion, I guess.
No, just a discussion, unless somebody feels really strongly.
No, you're fine.
We covered it all, big guy.
Okay.
You did.
Hold on, where am I? Okay, I think the next item under the manager's report is a request to update the agreement that we have with Progressive Companies. Progressive Companies is currently working on the zoning code updates. We have received even more grant funding to be able to keep them on and help us hopefully get over the finish line. It's estimated that that additional cost will not exceed 11,000, and we did receive another 10,400 in grant funding. And our recommendation this evening would be to approve it and continue on with Progressive Companies as agreed upon in our original contract and the attached memorandum that specifies the work.
And this is something that Teresa supports as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Jason has
Wouldn't
been
be-
nice to work
Would
with.
be in the
Fantastic.
packet if she didn't
And it was
support
a total of 25,000? Is that what I heard?
it.
The two?
Nope, it'll be a total of 50,000. Total of 50,000.
Of grant funding, yep.
Now, a lot of, the suggestion out there is that these people came, we hired them, and they came with a whole bunch of ideas trying to blow up our little town, and that all their ideas were awful. Why would we hire, progressive companies to come with these ideas? My understanding is that we asked them to present us with the ideas that were at the forefront of the zoning field. What are people doing? What tools are they using? We asked for all the tools. And I think a lot of the pushback came during the presentation of all those tools available. Would that be a fair?
Yes, that's
Okay.
very accurate. And then also the housing. I mean, that is one of our big issues, and they did answer that question on some of their conditions or suggestions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And the question was, how do we do our part to solve the housing crisis? And we already do, helping developers. We already do the apartments. And we did ask them to take a look at the neighborhood, and these were the ideas. That doesn't mean that we can't reject all of them. Again, so the pushback to progressive, who doesn't live here, I feel is slightly unfair. But that's just me.
And if I can just jump on to what you were saying, another great example of what's happening in Lansing right now is, regarding the whole housing issue, there's legislation out there saying that every single house, no matter what type of district it's in, should be allowed to basically convert into a duplex. While we might think that could be a snazzy idea in maybe a location or two, and maybe with certain restrictions and rules around it or framework around it, by no means is anybody advocating, even our consultants advocating, that that's something that we should be pushing with, which is why, while I think some people in the community might be concerned that we are, but we really aren't. We're talking about the ideas, and, if this is a good idea, how could this best be rolled out in Cadillac, while the state's talking about sort of the same idea, but they're talking about it where they would take away all local control and just say it could be allowed anywhere by right, which is not where we're at. So.
In the planning committee, they're going line by line, right?
Well, yeah, topic by topic.
Yeah,
correct.
topic by topic, yeah.
So we do need action by council on this one.
I'd make a motion to approve the expansion of the consulting contract with progressive companies as presented.
Support?
Councilmember Hopkins,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. This next item is a fee schedule that we are proposing in regard to the Community Development Department. And my suggestion, while Teresa gets ready to kind of walk you through it, would be to go to page 6 and then page 7, where it will really simplify and show in a chart version exactly the type of application or the service being provided, what our current rate is, what the average rate is of all of the different agencies that we looked at, and then what our proposed rate is. And Teresa, if you would mind walking people through this?
Sure, absolutely. So what we did first is we took what the application type is. And then next to that, we labeled what our current Cadillac rate is. The next is the average of all. So what we took is, if you look at the page previously from there, we compiled and went to locate 12 different areas. Example, Ludington, Manistee, Petoskey, Saginaw, Traverse City, Midland, Mount Pleasant, Big Rapids, Gaylord, Grayling, Muskegon, and Clare, and the last one, Alpena. So then what we took was all of those 12 areas, and in that we did an average of all that you can see in that other column, and then what our proposed rate increased. We tried not to go more than double, but as you can see, we still are at the very low end. So the plan unit development, the PUD, was at 200. It would now be at 400. The sign permit was only at $20. We'd only go up to 35.
But the average, though, is
Yeah, the average is,
830.
yes, 830 of the middle one. Average sign permit everywhere else is $54. We only want to go up to 35. The next, a site plan review commercial minor. Currently, we're at 35. The average is 193. We want to propose a rate of 75. So as you can see, going down this list, I guess another one that I might say would be Zoning Board of Appeals. That's a good one. That's second from the bottom. Right now, we charge $150. What the average of all is $375, and we're projecting or asking the proposed rate of $300. If you flip that to the very next page, this is where you're going to see where those average administrative costs. As you can see, what our administrative cost is for us to do the work is very minimal, or is quite large, but it's very minimal compared to what the proposed rate is. We are undercutting. We're not asking to cover all of those fees. The first one was plan unit development. Again, $200. It takes us, with all the hours, all the public hearings, the publications in the newspapers, everything written up, $1,090. All we're asking is to double that at $400. We're still not recouping those funds. So as you can see, that average administrative cost is all the way down, and then you can see next to it the proposed rates. And is there any questions or any others that you'd like me to go over? I can.
Do you, I was going to ask this question, and I apologize, I forgot. But do you have a ballpark idea, or Owen, do you, when we may have last looked at some of these? I mean, it's been quite a while, I think. Nothing comes to mind? No. So.
Yeah, the last I talked to John Wallace, he thought maybe 6 or 7 years ago, but not even longer than that, yeah.
Probably longer than that.
I think the prices show that. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely nothing comprehensively like this, where we could kind of come up with a single schedule and then have that schedule be much more efficiently analyzed from time to time.
And the biggest thing is publication costs have really gone up in price. So if we could try to just even recoup some of that, that would be great.
Yeah, we're grossly underpriced on a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I'd make a motion to approve the community development fee changes as presented and authorize amending all relevant ordinances to centralize fees within Chapter 28.
Support.
Councilmember Ingalls,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. The next item is a recommendation regarding alley improvements from Park Street to Rush Street. It's the alley south of Cass Street between Park and Rush. It's in disrepair, needs to be reconstructed, and the project is planned for 340 feet of concrete pavement removal and replacement. We did receive several bids that your packet identifies, with the lowest bid and recommendation this evening going to Salisbury Excavating, Inc. in an amount of $46,997. We're also requesting a 15% contingency. That would bring the total award up to $54,046.55. Oh, and I would assume funds coming out of the general fund?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's in the budget amendment later on.
Is the replacement gonna be concrete again, or?
It is, yes.
Asphalt? Oh, isn't
Concrete.
asphalt cheaper, or, I don't know.
It's difficult to do asphalt in narrow alleys like that, equipment-wise and thickness-wise and grading-wise, and concrete is a better
Okay,
option and better longevity.
okay.
This is the alley behind my house. It's
Yeah.
been, and at the bottom is the new bed and breakfast. I can't remember what their new owner's name was, but
Yep, and the owners will actually be participating some as they choose. I did speak with the Haneys, I think, or Jennifer, and they were interested in kind of the bid price to help resolve some of theirs. So we're working closely with some of the neighbors that may need to do some connecting work or have some other broken down stuff to mesh it all together well.
I will make a motion to award the contract for alley improvements to Salisbury Excavating in the amount of $46,997 with a 15% contingency for city engineered approved changes, bringing the total bid award to $54,046.55.
Support.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Our fiscal year 26 budget for the Maple Hill Cemetery includes an appropriation to add a paved road to the newest section of the cemetery on the southeast side of the property. In addition, the southwest road near the fence line is currently gravel and will be shaped and paved accordingly. The city did receive a number of bids for this project as well, with the recommendation once again going to the lowest bidder, and that happens to be Salisbury Excavating, in the amount of $78,430. Same as before, looking at a 15% contingency add-on that would bring the total award to $90,194.50. Your packet, the public packet, does include a picture of where these improvements would be made within the cemetery property, if you were curious of just seeing that lay of land. And I don't think there's anything more to add on that, unless you have anything on.
Nope, unless there's questions.
Fund location?
Yep, cemetery operating fund and with a transfer from the perpetual care funds to cover the costs.
So we're gonna, according to the map, we're gonna loop around the new block 14.
Yep.
That'll be nice, and you're gonna, I see in the red, down by the fence line,
Yep, paved by the fence line. It's
badly needed.
It's badly needed, yeah. It was not designed to be a road. It was designed to be a service road, but because it looks like a road, people use it all the time, and it's very washed out. So this will be a very nice improvement to that
Yes,
part.
very nice. Good job. I'd make a motion to award contract for Maple Hill Cemetery Road Improvement Project to Salisbury Excavating, Inc. in the amount of $78,430 with a 15% contingency for city engineered approved changes, bringing the total bid award to $90,194.50.
Support.
Councilmember Ellenboss,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is one that City Council started discussing a few minutes ago. This is regarding the Historic Districts Commission request on looking at expanding the Courthouse Hill Historic District area. In your packet is a copy of the resolution that they had provided. And in the communication, basically, this is not some sort of exhaustive list of what council's options are, but just an attempt to try to help get the creative juices flowing, if you will, on discussion. You know, one, you could, decide you're going to move forward and ask staff to put together the framework for establishing a study committee, which I don't think would be too terribly difficult. We would likely use the same volunteer board and commission application form that we have now, maybe put another little checkbox on it that lists the name of study committee. Sorry, Ruth Ann, if I bumped you. And we would get that out there and look at applications as they come in. Another option might be to do nothing. There's no requirement that city council take any action. Another option might be to ask the Historic District Commission to maybe clarify a little bit more what their idea might be. And I do agree with our chair that, you know, that would be the primary role of what the study committee would be, which would be to try to explore what those boundaries should look like. The only reason why that was there was just another option, which is that you can essentially remand it back. City council, over the years, from time to time, will take ideas from other boards and remand it back and say, hey, we're interested in your idea, but clarify it and come back to us, and then we'll make a decision. So I just tried to give you something out there to discuss, and I will be quiet.
The studied expansion that they had, do you remember what year that was from?
She said
why
2002.
2002. That was
24 years ago.
That was
long before my time.
Okay. And so that would be the starting point. Would be to go off of their work. I mean, I think we should let them establish that. I think this is a good time in the zoning process to look at this again. If they decide the same thing they did in 2002, that they're not going to move forward, they're not going to expand, they're not going to do it, then it's a good opportunity to give that a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I think, or a timely opportunity.
And just to clarify, if I may, the council establishes the study committee, not the Historic Districts Commission.
Yes, okay. They compiled a study in 2002, probably, right? Funded or paid for.
I haven't seen
sometime.
it, so I'm not
Okay.
sure. I think there was a study committee. A study committee is separate from the Historic Districts Commission itself.
Yes.
Right? So I haven't seen the 2002 study. I presume there was a study committee appointed.
Okay, that's what I was referencing.
Yeah,
Okay.
but-
Presumably, if a recommendation to move forward with an expansion comes forward, that would be done by ordinance, I would assume?
Correct.
So that would still require city council to be willing to move that forward and to host the public hearing and to adopt an ordinance. So this body is definitely involved in the beginning and then at the end. And then in the middle, you'll have the study committee.
I have a question, Laura. Could this happen as a part of the master planning process?
It's separate because the statute requires the appointment of a study committee before you expand or add additional historic district property. So while it could be happening at the same time, it's not the planning commission's charge to do the study for an expansion of the historic district boundaries.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that state law?
Yes.
Is that the state, regarding the historic district? Okay.
I think it's reflected in the code, but it's derived directly from the statute.
We've got a lot going on with master plan updates, zoning rewrites, and now another group to formulate this historic district expansion. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure of the urgency of it all, but that's, I guess, up to us to decide.
Yeah, and obviously I disagree. I think they should be allowed to start this process. So I mean, that's up to the rest of you.
I'd agree with you.
I don't know why we
Make some
wouldn't.
steps forward.
Makes sense,
Let's
yeah.
get this thing going.
Yeah.
Is there, and I don't expect our attorney to necessarily know the answer now, if there's any framework or guidance. It doesn't sound like there's any requirements other than somebody having interest in historic preservation. You don't necessarily have to live there or own
I
property.
do have an answer, Mark.
Oh, do you? Go ahead, yes.
Section 3 of the Act just provides for that the committee shall contain a majority of persons who have a clearly demonstrated interest in or knowledge of historic preservation, and shall contain representation from one or more duly organized local historic preservation organizations. So representation meaning not all of the members have to be a part of a historic organization, but there needs to be at least one who does represent that perspective.
Somebody on the commission?
Correct.
Okay.
I wouldn't want necessarily, or I should say, if you had a quorum of the commission on the study committee, that would implicate Open Meetings Act issues, so that's something for council to consider. But you certainly could have less than a quorum without invoking any of those Open Meetings Act concerns.
Meaning we could, as long as there, so that would be as long as there's not a quorum of the 7-person historic district
Is it 7
commission.
or 5?
It's 7, but we only have 5 members right now.
So we can get 2. So two
Yep.
two members could be on there. Okay. Yeah, that's, I mean, so you can initiate this without us, but you need council to appoint the members.
No, you need to, well, the initiating is the appointment of the study
Yeah,
committee.
but
Yeah.
for the sake of Marcus here asking whether we should initiate I mean,
Yeah, I think
because you'll have
what-
to put out
it-
the application and the post.
Sure, it would be anticipated, I think, at this meeting that council decide its direction, and then we can, if we reach a consensus, then we can bring back the action item for the April 20th agenda.
Okay, let's do
But
that.
there's also a question of who those people are, because you're gonna need names, or perhaps the action is just first to put out that application.
Mm-hmm.
So, I suppose they could do that tonight, and then.
Yeah.
We're
Future
going
meeting.
to say yes or no to a committee.
To
Correct.
an application for
Okay.
two applications for a possible committee that we won't actually establish until the next April. And even at the point, even with applications in front of us, we could still say, no, we're not gonna establish a committee, because until we do it,
Oh.
there's no
And
committee.
it
So
doesn't
we're
have to be
not
April
voting
20th.
for the committee necessarily
We're
tonight.
just, I mean, it would be a waste of time for Marcus to start gathering applications and then
Right.
tell us after the fact, so I think step one,
Step one is if you guys are interested in getting this process started, I just needed to hear that.
Yep.
So that I can update the application form and then we can start getting people to apply. Like with any of our open seats that we have on our boards and commissions, they're filled by volunteers that are appointed by council. This would be
Yeah.
a similar process, and it's kind of open until filled. We would have to talk about how many people we would want to put on it,
Well, my other
So-
just timing thought was if you put out the application now, is April 20th too soon? Do you put it next, I mean, I'm not sure how
Right.
many,
Yeah, I don't
that's
know
not a
either.
lot of time for people to apply.
And how many people do we put on there? That's
Yeah.
another,
It doesn't indicate in the statute, I'll double check the city code, but I don't think it does either.
so this could be a 2-meeting process. You put out applications, next time we vote to establish it, or not establish, but we create it and then set the number. The next meeting, we approve the commission. Does that sound like how the process would go?
You could do it all at one,
all
probably.
Could still, okay, well, sure then. Decide the number, so we could get applications, decide the number, and establish it on the same night.
If we get a handful of
If we get
applications.
enough,
If we got
Yes.
20,
If
we
people
could
want to
set
do
it
it.
at 7. If we got 10, we could set it at 5. I mean, we could.
True, yeah.
If that's what Laura decides we can do. I'm not,
Yeah.
that we can set the number, so.
Yeah, I don't see a number in the code either, so.
so, just to make me feel a little more comfortable, if I may ask a member of city council then to, see me, as I'm reading the room here, just make a motion, to, direct staff to initiate, a process to start soliciting for applications for the study committee.
I make a motion that the city manager initiate the process of establishing a former study committee.
Second?
Councilmember Elavaz?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next couple items, Owen, if you don't mind, I'm going to kick them to you to walk us through.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is to introduce the changes to the purchasing policy that we discussed at our work session. And we actually had discussed these in the prior year's work session as well, but wanted to definitely move forward with it this year. The primary changes is just to increase the threshold that council approves purchases. And really, we're just trying to eliminate maintenance items from there where we can be confident that as long as the budget appropriation exists, that staff can make decisions on maintenance type items. There will be some small equipment like probably mowers and things too that it may eliminate from council. But in the work session, we talked about the threshold of $20,000, and I had given you some of those stats on what that would have eliminated over the last few years in purchases and things like that. But that is the recommendation that we're making tonight. That's the lion's share of the change, is just to increase those thresholds. So today, $500 is a department head spending limit. $2,500 is my spending limit. $7,500 is Marcus's spending limit. We're looking to change that to $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. And again, we kind of ran the numbers from 25 or 30 years ago to keep up with inflation. That number, 7,500, would have been right around 20. So that seemed like a reasonable recommendation. So this tonight introduces that ordinance and sets a public hearing. Because it's an ordinance change, we need to have a public hearing and adopt it through an ordinance change at the next meeting.
Has not changed in at least 25 years.
Yeah, yep. And this, as I said before, is pretty much for emergency situations.
Yep.
So we can, we don't have to wait. It's a good idea. I'd make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-3629. Here we go. Amending Division 2 of Article 5, Chapter 2 of the Cadillac City Code to update purchasing, contracting, and sales procedures and set a public hearing for April 20th, 2026.
Support.
Councilmember Hopkins?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
I had a question on that.
Uh-oh.
Can I still ask it?
Yes, of course.
Is when you say 20,000 for your limit, is that a total, like if
Single purchase.
one single purchase?
Yep, single purchase. So, yeah, and the ordinance also states that you can't break up a purchase in order to circumvent the ordinance.
That was my question.
So, yeah, I can't.
That would be unethical.
Yeah.
And illegal.
Buy half a motor for 15 and the other half for
Yeah.
15. No, that would be a $30,000 purchase.
Can't do
So,
Yes.
good question. And again, we have to act on this again in 2 weeks. So if there's additional questions or comments about it, feel free to shoot those my way.
Yeah, and I'm a yes vote. I'm not, I could change my mind in the next, there could be feedback, there could be, we're definitely
Yep.
welcome to play with this after the public hearing, so.
Yep, that's why we have a public hearing. Yep, no problem.
We finished with roll call, or did I interrupt? Okay.
Okay, the next one is the budget amendment. And it, again, hopefully pretty straightforward. In the general fund, it's to amend the additional grant funds and additional contract costs for the community development consulting arrangement. Also, it's to amend the sidewalk project into the general fund. And while we were in the sidewalks, because of the additional winter activities, I threw that in there as well. Probably be some additional costs for some of that stuff after we figure out how much the storm cleanup costs, but that's in there for now. That's it for the general fund. The cemetery fund had budgeted originally $75,000 for the road project. Wanted to have a little bit of flexibility in there based on the final bid. We were a little bit fearful it would come in quite a bit higher, $25,000 or $30,000 higher. We're very pleased with the bids, and so we are able to do the whole project with a little extra cost. And so the next two funds are to budget for an additional transfer from the perpetual care funds and the additional capital outlay costs that'll help cover engineering costs as well. And then the next one is the cemetery perpetual care fund. Recognize some additional interest earned and the additional transfer out then back to the cemetery operating fund. The next two funds have been, these amendments have been unanimously approved by the LDFA board. The LDFA operating fund needs to transfer in some additional funds to cover primarily testing, sample collecting, monitoring, reporting, and testing costs. And it reflects where the consulting contract will be at the end of the fiscal year. And all those funds come from the transfer from the capital projects fund. And so under LDFA capital projects fund, it budgets the additional transfer. Last page is the Brownfield Authority. The Brownfield had been the recipient of a grant from Eagle for the environmental activities related to the Lofts project. Because the city, the Brownfield Authority is the grantee, We do have to have the revenue and the expenditure. We can't just net them. We have to show those on the financial statements of the authority. So we do need to have an appropriation for that. Some of those have been received and incurred already, but this provides the rest of that funding. They don't think they're going to spend the full 800, but this appropriation would only be used for the amount of grant funds and then a matching basically pass through then to the developer. And it is only for those, the work done on that. So like the soil vapor mitigation systems, hauling away of some of the contaminated soil, activities like that. Very important for the project, for the people that will be living there. But they were able to get the EGLE grant through the Brownfield Authority for those funds. So this appropriates the revenue and the costs of that. And that's it.
Okay. I am going to make a motion to adopt the resolution 2026-3630, amending General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2026 as presented.
Support.
Councilmember Ingalls.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Great, thank you. The next item is a request for council support in our submission to MDOT for a transportation economic development fund, or TEDF, category F grant. As we had talked about earlier this afternoon in our work session, we are looking at improving Lake Street from Cass Street to Pine Street, and Pine Street from essentially Mitchell Street to the city boat launch area. The estimated cost of the project is $560,000. The grant that we're soliciting is for $375,000 with a local match of $75,000, consistent with the TEDF program requirements. And the I think that might be wrong, right, Owen? Because that number doesn't come out in the resolution, or does it? No.
I didn't have it open. Let me
Yeah.
get there.
Because I think I think the resolution's got a typo.
Can you give me the section?
Yeah. The third paragraph down, second page.
Because the two had to 450, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And it says 560?
It's a minimum local match of 75,000.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
That's right. That's why we.
Those
need
are just
that.
the program requirements.
Okay.
Yep. So our match will just have to be the difference between the bid costs and 375,000.
Okay. All right. Thank you. for
Which is indicated in the next paragraph where it says 185,000.
Gotcha.
So it'd be
And
between 75.
that project is part of the CIP.
Gotcha. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see that. It wasn't
that's
bold.
okay.
My eyes just picked up the bold.
Yep.
So, anyhow, not sure if there's any questions, but in order for us to try to up our ante here on our application, we feel having a resolution would be the way to go. So,
We have to spend somewhere between 75 and 185 to get $375,000 for the grant fund. So, I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-3631, authorizing submission of application to Transportation Economic Development Fund grant.
Support.
Or,
Gotta be
look at
quicker.
that guy over there.
Councilmember French.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Carrie, if you could be so kind as to put the map up with the blue highlight. There you go, that one, thank you. So this has been something that we've been talking about off and on a little bit, and this is in regard to getting ballot language together for the August primary, and that would be to allow for the sale of the property that is in the turquoise blue, if I'm not completely colorblind, highlighted area. And this area is immediately adjacent to, and frankly includes, what the overall vision would be for the Lakeland Development Project. And if you can please put that up. Thank you. So this conceptual site plan that our development director, Teresa, is going to be pointing to shows within the sort of neon purplish hue line that same area, and indicates a public park space as well as a public dog park. And so if you look at the bottom of that area, you will see the footprint of a parking lot that comes out on Paulister. Thank you. Right where Teresa's pointing. And then just above that parking lot is and I apologize because it is small. Thank you. 3/4 of an acre dog park. And then the rest of the area that compose the 9-acre park space is a really cool walking trail concept. And so, first of all, it may not say concept or draft on the site plan. It is a, it does?
Yep, draft.
Great.
Big letters.
Oh, okay, thank you. It is a draft, so, and it is subject to change. But, before we even can get here, we need the help from our community in terms of the ballot language, which is in your packet, and I'd be happy to read it for the record. But I figured that a picture, sort of is much more illustrative of what we're trying to accomplish. And what are we trying to accomplish? Well, in a nutshell, we're trying to allow for the developer to provide a couple of really cool public amenities. These are not private amenities. These are open to the public, free public spaces, a walking trail and a dog park. And also as a part of that, you'll see, if you could point to it, an additional building that is right there that would include additional apartment units. What's the number, approximately?
I don't know.
Okay, so another comparably sized building that would be a part of the overall development. So what council needs to do in order for us to even really continue with these conversations with them regarding this envisionment of the plan is to have the voters advise whether or not we can move it forward in regards to that public space or that public land. If the voters say no, the public dog park, the public walking trail, and the additional apartment building all go away. The development that you'll see in the top left corner would stay. That's all within private property, and they already have access to that property. The opportunity is certainly there for the developer to ask us again to put it on another ballot. It's not uncommon for ballot questions to not go through on a couple of occasions, and then you keep asking, or you do another presentation, and you are able to get more success down the road. I don't know, and I apologize for rambling, but so where we are tonight would be in your packet. Exhibit A is the language, and like I said, when I read this to you, you're gonna say, now I know why you showed the pictures. The ballot language would be, shall the city of Cadillac be authorized to sell city-owned vacant property located on Paulister Street, parcel number 10-083-00-107-00, as provided by section 5.6 subsection C of the city charter. And so, it'll certainly be incumbent of the developer to up their, public information and communications so that people understand, what they would be voting for, which would be essentially a vote to accept this would be a vote you know, to move forward down the line, or down the path of establishing a public dog park and trail, so.
Can you briefly explain the history of this parcel property?
I cannot, council member. I don't know if there's anybody here that can. Jeff, do you
Well,
know
I have a question.
What?
Is
What
this?
was the question?
the history of the city-owned parcel? How do we get it?
Well, just a minute.
Oh,
I have a
yeah.
question. Jeff, is
Yeah.
this the parcel that has the wetland on it?
It does have a wetland on it, and we do use that for our storm sewer for the south part of Mitchell Street. We do, and the state of Michigan does also.
And so when they build their however many acres of parking lot and hard surfaces, the reason they want the property is to drain all of the snow removal into that wetland, is that correct? I mean, that's.
I don't know why they want all the parcels. I know they want the high areas of the parcel because they can build on it.
Okay,
Alright.
do you have any idea what the portion is high and what's wetland of the, is it 9 acres?
I'd say of the 9 acres, probably 2 acres is high and
Yeah.
7 acres are
And the majority
wetland.
of it is wetland.
The
Which is
majority
gonna
is.
change when they start draining all of their, because according to their site plans, that's their intention, is to put all their snow removal on the edge of their parcel, which then.
But that snow removal, that snow would have went there anyways. Whether you plowed it into a pile or it just naturally was on top of the ground and melted, that snow would have went there. So there won't be extra snow. It's just that the high areas won't be there anymore. They'll be occupied by a dog park or be occupied by a
Or
building.
by more wetland because,
Well, the wetlands, I don't believe they're
Can't build
filling anything in.
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the water being increased by the fact that there's gonna be a lot of that, that's gonna change in there.
Impervious surfaces
The-
that now will
Because of
be.
the impervious surfaces that will,
The wetland
That
will
would have
expand
soaked away.
Yes.
Another 2 acres, yeah.
yes, that's the point I'm trying to
Yeah.
make. Thank you for
Yes,
clarifying.
the water that would have drained away on the highland will now be directed to the wetlands. That is correct, because of the impervious surfaces.
Right.
But there will be an additional drain
Is there,
system.
yeah,
For the
is,
separate building, there would
is there
probably have to
storm
be.
There would
sewer?
have to be.
Is there gonna be storm sewer from their project?
Their storm sewer will be, our current storm sewer goes through their property. They're going to upgrade that because there's some condition issues there. So they're gonna, update ours and they will connect to ours. But the state of Michigan connects to ours, our roads connect to ours. I mean, we do drain other people's parking lots and all that stuff because it goes into the street, it goes to the storms, so all these other people, it's nothing that they're doing that's different than anybody else. It's just,
No, it's gonna be new though. It's gonna
Right,
be
right.
new additional drain that's gonna be,
And all these would all have
happening.
to get analyzed and sorted out. I mean, by approving the ballot language tonight, you're not, there's no acceptance, no approval, no anything regarding this layout or a site plan. It's, like I said, it's just conceptual.
The charter just requires voter approval by a majority to sell or lease land that's recreation area, park,
get
things
that.
like that. So
Open
that's as
space,
far, but
yeah.
you know, I'm not sure that came through maybe for everybody. So that's the part we're at right now.
Yep.
It's not approval of any particular use on the
I
site.
get it.
Yeah.
But I was curious about the acreage, cause I wasn't sure on the size, and if I were writing that ballot language, I would at least include how much a person is voting on to sell that's city-owned parkland,
I mean,
you know?
it's authority to sell all of the parcel. So
Okay.
if we wind up selling less, then we can sell less, but that gives the city flexibility if
I
it needs
see.
to sell the entire 9 acres.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So that is a possibility, even if it's approved that the city
Oh,
could
sure.
only sell a portion of
Sure,
that? It's not.
absolutely.
Got it.
Now, do they already-
Well, I mean, that's new information.
We didn't want to limit it to try to define in ballot language a
Okay.
legal description of a portion of it, where it
Okay.
makes more sense. You have, if it passes, you would have the
Mm-hmm.
authority to sell any part or all of the parcel.
And
see.
under the current concept site plan, the vast majority of the property stays open to the public.
And how can you enforce that when you don't own it anymore?
Developer agreement.
Okay. All right.
Now, you
Curious.
said if they're buying this because they want to build that extra building and parking lot to the west right there, right? Or to the side there. Do they already own that part and they can't do this
No,
project?
so that, if you go back, Carrie, to the blue map, please.
Did I miss something?
So if you look at the blue map, that part is still within, that's part of the city property.
That
Oh,
building
it's
would be
just
a new one.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay,
It's,
perfect.
it's different
Yep.
than what they've
Thank you.
had in their previous site plan, additional building? Is that?
This is the proposed sale. This is their proposed park.
Correct.
So that's what I. That's,
Yes,
I gotcha.
sorry, yeah.
I gotcha.
So, yeah, so the map with the blue outline shows all of the city-owned property, and then the conceptual site plan shows how 9+ acres out of, do you know what the total acreage is?
I believe 11.
So,
That's
so let's just
right.
say it's 11
Right now.
acres, 9 of those 11 acres would be open to the public, with a trail and the wetlands and a dog park, and then a couple of those acres would be used to accommodate an apartment building.
Okay, I think.
And that wouldn't be the hole though. That would be the hill.
This is the dog park.
Yeah,
That-
and it's not water, it's
Well,
land.
that should be the hill
That's the
part of it. Yeah.
Higher
It's a
part,
high spot,
okay.
yeah.
So I think that the part where David's pointing and then the part to the right, that would be where the building goes, the
Right.
other high part.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yep.
Dan was asking
Hey, do you
about
wanna
that.
go, Carrie, to
And
the
Jeff
next?
was saying that
okay,
quite a
to
bit
the
of it
site
is
plan
low,
again?
and those are the high parts.
Yeah, so
This is
right.
that
There you go. As long as it's not,
This right here would go up to here and then over.
Yeah.
Yep, that would be included. This right here would be included in that parcel you just saw, but this is the rest of the parcel. Yep, right here.
so then they would put up the apartments and then they would build the park. Meaning the fencing.
That's the working concept.
3/4 acres worth of fencing. Being a mountain biker, I know these hiking trails or biking trails don't build themselves. Mountain bike trails cost $10,000 a mile if you want them done right. But it looks like a great idea to me. Who doesn't like a dog park near town?
And, so,
Not of any
again, the
park.
preliminary component to getting this sort of fine-tuned is,
The voters.
right now, we don't have the authority to even talk about this property in a sense, because it requires a vote of the people, so.
All right, well,
Well, the other piece to this is they're building their project in 3 phases, and this is phase 3 of their operation that this would probably be developed. Is that correct?
Well, maybe. I mean, I think it's gonna
So
depend on
that's
how
like
they.
10 years out,
Well,
maybe, or
well,
7, or
I,
a while.
yeah, I don't
Anyway.
know. I mean, they had talked about with labor and equipment and mobilization, if they have it available, they might be able to move things forward quicker. They haven't gotten building 1 up yet, but they're already talking about doing this. So I think they would, and you'd have to hear it from them, and I'm sure they'll come back to the city before the vote to talk to us about where things are at. But I would assume that they would, if they get a favorable vote, they'll expedite and move forward faster on this versus
Well,
letting it sit.
Then they're building.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rest
I
of
mean,
the
they may
building.
not build the next building, but I would assume they would move forward on the,
Park
on the
part.
park, yep.
Well,
Say that 3 times fast.
let's take our first baby steps and make a motion to adopt
Right.
Resolution 2026-3032, approving ballot language for the sale of Pallister property.
Support.
Councilmember Ellenboss?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
French?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the city council, that concludes the presentation materials that staff has for you this evening. We do have, for your reference, some meeting minutes in your packet. And I think you're on to public comments.
We'll open public comments. The same rules apply from before.
Michelle Carter, 311 East Harris Street. I just wanted to clarify something that will explain a little bit why there was such an eruption over the zoning overhaul. And it is an overhaul. It's not simply an amendment, at least as it's being proposed. It's because the master plan from 2015 really kept single-family home districts segregated from multiple family home districts. It's what they call a Euclidean-based zoning framework, master plan framework, which has separate uses in separate districts. The 2023 preliminary draft ordinance was very carefully, I thought the 2023 draft was actually really pretty well done in terms of wanting to achieve the objectives of the RRC and at the same time preserving the single-family character of the neighborhoods. So the 2023 draft maintained the single-family character of the R3 zone. The only change that it made to any of the single-family zones in terms of slipping into that multiple family was in the R1 and R2. It said you can have additional dwelling units, but only by special use permit. Nothing was touched in R3. And then when Progressive came along, they said, okay, now we're gonna have duplexes, ADUs, threeplexes, fourplexes in R3, which are the smallest lots of the single-family district. So that's why the eruption. So basically, we're taking a single-family home district that the master plan says we're preserving and protecting as single-family home, that the 2023 draft said we're keeping this as a single-family district, and then suddenly Progressive comes in and just the entire thing is upheaved. So that's the issue. And then Council Member French, I wanted to address your concern about the study group. One of the reasons we're doing this, wanting to do this, is it's the expansion of the district, but also if the state's laws pass and we have all of this by right stuff coming in, this may be the last vestige of discretion that you'll have over any of the single family districts.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Hi, Andy Van Alst, Sunnyside Drive. The guy that came out here right off the get-go was talking about the addiction. I think that he nailed it. He's probably the smartest one that's here today. He identified the problem. That's what he was doing, and you can't move forward until you can identify the problem. So I gave him some information, and hopefully he reaches out to me. And then you can work on the solutions, right? So good for him. So with this zoning map that we're talking about updating, no one that I've talked to can tell me what's wrong with the current zoning map. You guys haven't. Why don't you hold up the map so everybody can see what's on your desk?
It's covered in plastic.
Okay. Because that's the zoning map that we're working with today. It's not one that was proposed in 2025. It's a known map. And now we can't really say what we're moving to either. You know, hey, what are we going to, well, nobody gives a clear answer on what they're moving to either. So we hire Progressive. I've said it before that their survey is bogus, right? You can take it as many times as you want. And I know people have taken it multiple times. It's a real small version of who's sampling in this area. So it's not a very effective one. The advisory committee also, I think there are 10 people on it with Marcus. And then at last meeting, 5 of them didn't show up. I have to disagree with Carla because I counted 5 that showed up and one of them was late. And it's there for public input, and 3 of the people that were on it left early. So there were only 2 people left there from the zoning advisory committee to hear from the public. And 2 of the people that were absent at that meeting are here tonight. My vote would be to drop Progressive and work on it, like I was saying to the Planning Commission, eat an elephant one bite at a time. We talk about the areas that they're available for improvement, like the Terry D property, Boersma's property, Barnett's property, Moomy's got property. I did like what you said about doing the alley over there. I used to sled there, so I'm like, maybe I'll try it again. Then Michelle, I think she's a rock star. And I was wondering if anyone can join in their protections. Like, can we over on Sunnyside enjoy the protections that are afforded to the Historical Society? How do we do that? How do we get protection too? She's got my full support. We need somebody advocating for the homeowners, and we just don't have it. So, and Ruth Ann, I think you hit the nail on the head with the dog park and the water retention and overflooding of wetlands. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Indy. Seeing no one, I will close public comment. We will go to good of the order.
Nothing here. All quiet.
I've probably said enough tonight.
Yes, you
Mr. Mayor, we do have one more item, which would be a request to adjourn to closed session. The motion tonight, if someone would say perhaps so moved after I give it.
I just want to say thank you
Okay.
for Diego for showing up tonight
Yes.
and introducing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks
Yes,
for coming,
thank you, Diego.
I hope you haven't changed your mind.
I'll be here next week. Don't worry.
So the request would be a motion to adjourn to closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268 subsection 1 H to consider written legal opinion which is exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute, and to invite Teresa Waldo, our Community Development Director.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Yes, so moved. All of you.
Councilmember Hopkins.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Yes.
You are so lucky to get
Okay.
Support. Open session. Support.
Councilmember Hopkins.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
French. French.
Yes.
Ellenboss. Mayor Powell.
There is no further action or discussion for tonight's meeting.
Mayor closes the meeting. Good.
Meeting adjourned.